All right. And it's Thursday, so it's time for bold predictions and game score for Southern Miss ULM 2:30 p.m. homecoming match here in Hattiesburg at the Rock. I'm Dima Mixon with the Pine Belt News. That's Glyn Dyar with 247 Sports. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. Glenn, the last time Southern Miss was trying to get to a bowl, ULM was the team that they played. I remember like sitting in Monroe, and I just remember that game in 2022, and the rain was just pouring down, right? And it was just like the messiest game. Frank Gore Jr. ran for like 250 plus
He
yards,
ran wild.
and I just remember like on the field afterwards, like hearing what Will Hall was saying about, this program's turned around now. We're finally going to get to a bowl, all those things. And it was amazing to me to think that that team made it to a bowl game. And like, think of like if that didn't happen, just how bad the last 4 years have been.
Right, right. Yeah, it's been a very unpleasurable ride, a painful ride, a
Right.
sad ride.
Sad, right? That's right. But we're not sad anymore. Southern Miss looking for bowl eligibility before November, which is pretty incredible. And I think when we looked at the season schedule, we thought that this was that block of the schedule that they could make a run on, and they definitely have. Jacksonville State win, Georgia Southern win, Louisiana win, and now ULM at home for homecoming to get to bowl eligibility. Glenn, what's your first thoughts on the Warhawks? You know that they had a good start to the season, and man, they have not been playing well the last 3 weeks. Lost to Northwestern 42-7, lost to Coastal 23-8. And then Troy just blew them out last weekend in Monroe. So, well,
You
what's
know,
your first thoughts on the Warhawks?
the weird thing about the Troy game is they actually outgained Troy, but they turned it over 4 times. I think one of them was a pick six too, so that's just disastrous. The last 3 games, they've just been a turnover machine, like plus 4 over the last 3 games. So, Southern Miss specializes in the turnover. So, I mean, I don't look for that to change Saturday. And like Louisiana, Lafayette, they're going to be a team that runs 2 tight ends, probably going to try to grind it out, keep our offense off of the field. I think last week versus ULL, we had 58 snaps. Uh, Last week, ULM held Troy to 53 snaps. So that's, it's not pretty, but that's what they're having to do right now. So every possession we get is very important. You can't turn it over. You got to make something happen, extend drive, score, obviously. But they're going to look to limit our drives.
Yeah, so if you look at the Sun Belt, as far as like defensive numbers, and I like struggle with like putting everything on stats because sometimes stats just don't tell the whole picture. But they are, they're sixth in the Sun Belt in total defense. They've only allowed 960 rushing yards on the season. The Warhawks have, which is a testament to their front seven, their front defensive front, really really good front for the Sun Belt,
Yeah,
Glenn.
they're huge.
And that's what Charles Huff was saying in the press conference on Tuesday, just talking about, they're going to play very similar to how Louisiana played as far as slow, methodical drives, where they're not trying to, 60-yard touchdowns. They're not trying to go for those. They're trying to
Yeah,
just
it's,
keep
it's a
Southern.
grind it out, grind the clock down, limit the opposition's, possessions. And yeah, their D line's huge. When I started scouting them, they got 6'4", 330, 6'5", 330. And both the ends, they aren't huge, but they're extremely athletic. I think both of those guys pushed for Sun Belt honors last year. For some reason, they're not having the success in terms of tackles for loss or sacks as they did the year before. But, it's that front's tough, man.
Yeah, and they've given up the fourth least amount of plays in the Sun Belt. So James Madison's only given up 384 plays on defense, which is crazy. Troy 457, Arkansas State 458, and then Monroe at 462. Southern Miss is actually last in the league in plays per game by opposing offenses at 527. But I think Monroe is going to try to do similar things that Louisiana did. My thing, Glenn, is I just don't think they're as good as Louisiana. So I don't know if it's going to be as successful against Southern Miss that Louisiana. I mean, Louisiana really did hold Southern Miss's offense down most of the game. There were some self-inflicted wounds, self-inflicted penalties that kind of stalled some drives. But for the most part, I mean, if you take out the 98-yard touchdown, Southern Miss didn't move the ball particularly well in that game. Um, But I don't think Louisiana Monroe's defense is anywhere as good as UL's on the road.
I think ULM's front seven, or at least their front is better than ULL's. They're only allowed giving up 113 yards a game on the ground. I don't think Southern's going to be able to run against them. They couldn't really run last week. I mean, for them, it's going to be, it's going to be in Braylon's hands, with RPOs.
Yeah.
Um, Blake likes to take vertical shots. We're going to have to beat them throwing the football. We're not going to run the football on them. I don't think.
Well,
I hope they prove me wrong.
and you will be let known that they've proven you wrong if Southern Miss does in fact run for 150 yards plus.
I will eat my crow happily because that's going to get this is better for Braylon to get his play action game going. But I think the secrets, it's and the secret sauce is what Braylon, like it's been all season long.
For sure.
Southern Miss offense goes as Braylon goes.
No doubt. Something about when you go to the other side of the ball, methodical driving for Louisiana. One thing is that I was looking at was they're 10th in the Sun Belt in turnover margin minus 0.71. Southern Miss, of course, is first. Their margin is 1.29. I mean, I think there's ample opportunity here for Southern Miss to rack up the turnover numbers again at home with what I expect to be a decent crowd at the homecoming. I just think that I mean, we'll get to bold predictions in a minute, and I have a pretty bold prediction regarding this, and I don't want to spoil anything. But I just think Southern Miss's ability to create turnovers is really going to hurt ULM's ability to move the football consistently because I don't think they've seen a defense like Southern Miss's so far.
Yeah, and they've struggled mightily all season on offense. And also, I don't know if you checked it out yet, but in the availability report, their starting quarterback was listed as doubtful. That was kind of like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a bit of gamesmanship, but I mean, I think the backup also was listed right under him as doubtful. So
Yeah, I
that's
think it's like questionable. Yeah,
yeah, I mean that's interesting in itself. I mean, and he has not set the world on fire by any means. I think he's 8 touchdowns to 6 picks and still under 1,000 yards passing to this point. So I'm not really worried about our defense stopping their offense. The thing I want to see is them get 3 and outs and give the ball back to the offense and kind of squash that mentality they have about stealing possessions away from the opposing offense. I want to see some 3s and outs, and obviously, like you said, get the picks, fumbles, give the ball back to Braylon, give them the short field.
no, I want to see that too. And as we've gone throughout the season, I think we're just seeing almost every game. Southern Miss just getting a little bit better, getting a little bit better on almost every front. The defensive line, to start the season, we were kind of questioning their ability to get any pressure, and then they answered that, and they're getting pressure almost every game now. The offensive line, we were questioning. We thought that their run pass, I mean their pass protection was pretty decent, but we wanted to see more in the run game. They're continuing to get better there. I mean, I don't think the run game's perfect by any means, but I think it's good enough to do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's been
Uh,
serviceable, and
right,
pass protection's been excellent.
exactly.
Braylon's operated out of a clean pocket many times this season. So
And then the wideouts that they have to their disposal, I mean, any one of them can go off in any game. I mean, there hasn't been just one wide receiver that's just been like you
no,
can
it's a
count
new
on
it's a
them.
new guy every week, isn't it?
Right. It was Micah Davis last week, Doc Chapman the week before, then
Just
Elijah Metcalf the week
speaks to the
before. I mean, it's
depth
just
across the board. I
right.
think that's the best collectively receiving core, including with the in tight ends
Yeah.
in the Sun Belt.
For sure. And then we look on, the secondary. I mean, Glenn, teams just don't throw the ball against Southern Miss's secondary. I mean,
Yeah,
how many downfield shots have we seen outside of Mississippi State? Because the only two times I can remember like a downfield shot was on the first, I think it was like the third or fourth play of the season when State hit that tight end over top and it was just a complete coverage bust. I mean, other than that, I can't remember. I mean, Georgia Southern was kind of like dinking and dunking down their way down the field. They didn't really hit any like long passing plays. I don't know, Glenn. I'm very
there's not been
confident in the
many teams, if
secondary's
any,
ability.
beat those guys over the top. I think Moten and Richard are the two best corners, together in the conference, the best set. And then, I mean, Foster's probably the best nickel in the conference as well. So that speaks volumes about that secondary.
For sure. I guess, Glenn, talking more of a big picture thing here. I think we know what we're going to see on Saturday, and we'll get to our bold picks and game scores here in just a minute. But when you think about, and we've talked about this before, I know on the Eagle Hour sometimes, but like I wanted to be said here is just I mean, it's incredible what Charles Huff has done over the past not in 10 months. I mean, this team lost extensively like bad to ULM last year. I think what was the final score? Like 31-14 or something like that last season.
Yeah,
And
on many occasions, every Saturday was rough.
yeah, I mean, and that was not a good ULM team. I don't even think they made it to a bowl game, last season. And like I, I think this ULM team is better than last year's, but I still expect Southern Miss to very much handle business at home.
Yeah, it's a ULM offense with no explosive, ingredients. A pretty average quarterback. I think the O line's pretty solid, but just nothing jumps out to you. Yeah, to your point with Coach Huff, I mean, watching them week by week, I think that one of the greatest tells of a coaching staff is watching them prepare for different schemes on a weekly basis. They're always ready. And then to watch these groups go in at halftime and make adjustments, they always make adjustments. They always seem to be the right ones. Even when people were griping about all the timeouts they're taking on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, almost all of them ended in stops. They didn't see something they liked. They said this is a good point time to stop and get your guys a blow. They've all been very valuable timeouts. You didn't. I'll take that timeout over getting beat over the top for seven. It was for 7 points. So just really well thought out. Coaching on a week by week basis, and in game coaching, even more importantly.
For sure. Um, well, Southern Miss will be going for a bowl game on Saturday against ULM. It'll be their first home game since September 27th, which is crazy. We haven't been in the Rock in a while. After that it was kind of like a bye week before that Georgia Southern game, and then of course the two road games which Southern Miss won. Now they go to ULM. They get a bye week next week before going back on the road at Arkansas State. Glenn, let's get the bold predictions. What would be your bold prediction for Saturday afternoon at the Rock?
Well, I don't know how bold it'll be, but I think you could see Braylon Braxton, approach, 400 yards passing and, a multiple touchdown game. I mean, it's going to be on him. I look for him to have a huge day. If his guys protect him like they've done all year and he's got that receiving core, I mean, he can get it done in a big way.
For sure. Okay, so Braylon Braxton, big day for Glyn Dyar. I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball because I think there's a opportunity here for Southern Miss's defense to really shine, especially at home. I think the energy is going to be really, really high on Saturday. I really wish it was a night game just because I think it would be even better. But I think the energy is going to be high. I think the defense is going to come out and just fly all over the field. I expect. I mean, this is a bold prediction, but I expect three, four turnovers by the defense that they force, which is almost like that's hard to say because like that's hard to do, but they've just been doing it so much that it's like, yeah, I expect three or four turnovers,
I
from the
mean,
defense against another offense.
the only game they really didn't do that was La Tech, and you saw how that turned out. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big part of what they do. So,
for sure. We will both be there. Let's pick the game. Southern Miss. Last I checked, the line opened at 14. It moved down in ULM's favor to 11 and a half as we're sitting here today. I don't have the point total. Hang on. Sorry. Pardon me. The point total was. All right, I'll get the point total in a minute, but Glenn, tell me your game score for Southern Miss ULM. I know that the line is at least uh, 11 and a half, Southern Miss.
right.
50 and a half is the point total, excuse me.
50 and a half.
50 and a half.
Yeah, I look for Southern. I got Southern Miss 41-17. So,
So that would be the over there for Southern Miss. Yeah, I expect the same thing. I don't understand why the line's moving down. I mean, I just don't see any chance that
especially
ULM.
you see that their starting quarterback might be
Yeah.
detained. I mean,
I
there's
mean,
another point I wanted to hit before we go. I mean, they've been on the road. That first game on the road was tough. I think they learned some huge lessons from that game that maybe you can look back at the end of the season and say that was a linchpin that got them started on a run. Winning two on the road, I think that builds a lot of character and a lot of confidence in a football team. Now I want to see them take that confidence learned on the road in a foreign environment. And when they, take it on into the Rock, where things are be so much better. They don't have to create their own energy in that scenario. I just think those road games kind of battle hardened them a little bit.
especially back to back. So 41-17 for Glenn. Yeah, I'm the same here. I don't expect this game to be close. I mean, I could see something where it's like somewhat close at the end of the first quarter, maybe, and it's kind of like, oh. But no, I just think Southern Miss runs away, especially with the ability to be back at home. I think you're going to have a really good crowd. I expect it to be. I think I said 45 to 10 Southern Miss in my preview article, so I'm trying to remember, but 45 to 10 is kind of where I was landing. I just think Southern Miss's offense is too much for ULM. I don't think their offense is going to move the ball consistently against Southern Miss. I think they could get a touchdown drive, maybe. One of those scripted drives at the beginning of the game where, they know what they're going to do, but I just consistently throughout the game, I don't expect this to be close. 45-10 Southern Miss for me, 41-17 for Glenn. We both are taking Southern Miss with the points and over the 50.5 point total. Glenn, anything else before we get out of here?
No, just I think it's going to be a beautiful day at the Rock, man. Come on out, support your team. It's homecoming. They're playing for for bowl eligibility. I think that's going to be a big thing for that team too coming out on the field. That's win this, we're bowl eligible. That's something to play for.
For sure. Glenn and I will both be at the Rock. Finally, both back at a game. It's been a
Yes.
while. Both be at the Rock on Saturday night. We'll have post-game video, post-game reactions down on the field afterwards. Go read Glenn's stuff at 247sports.com, goldeneaglepride.com. He does a phenomenal job on that site, and you can go on there and follow him. You can read my stuff at pinebelthubcityspokes.com/sports. You can read all my horrible writing over there. Follow Glenn on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter as well. But we will see you on Saturday at the Rock 2:30. Get out there, enjoy a good game. Should be great weather. Southern Miss against ULM for bowl eligibility. For Glyn Dyar, I'm Dima Mixon. Thanks for watching.